Family, I'm here with a serious message today. A lot of y'all see the fuckery I post, especially around Paternity Court Chronicles. That's what I've been on lately, Paternity Court Chronicles. And I am absolutely blown away at just YouTube and episodes of different paternity shows. And I cannot understand why adults, sometimes we're talking about somebody who's 16, 17, 18. Okay, I got more leeway for them, but some of these people are 40-year-old, 35-year-old, 30-year-old, 20-year-old adults who don't seem to comprehend how the human body works when it comes to reproduction. And I just, for the life of me, see all these clips in paternity court. And the ones that bother me the most that we're going to talk about tonight for a short time, because I'm not going to be here for a long time tonight. I just came to talk to the people and tell you what's on my mind. The number of men on these paternity court shows who are named the legal father by default because they didn't show up to court to take a paternity test when they were ordered to. Now, let me be clear. I am not talking about the men who never got the service notification, who say the notice was sent to their previous address and it never got forwarded. Okay, fine. Maybe it happened. But I'm talking about the men who said, oh, I just didn't go to court because those aren't my kids. Well, now it's your child because you chose not to show up for court voluntarily by your own admission. You chose to show up, not to show up for court, and you got named the legal father by default and are now responsible for child support despite future paternity tests determining that you are not the father because you did not show up on that specific date. And I have a little bit of deference that I can offer to, these 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids. Not a whole lot, but some. But some of these folks are well grown. And by their own admission, oh, I just didn't show up for court. Like that's going to help the situation out any. You are now deemed the legal father, and then they wind up on another paternity court show that we get to see on TV or YouTube or wherever because they're now protesting paternity, and they could have showed up to court and potentially solved all of this in their favor and not been the father, especially when they are not the biological father. But at that point, you are already named the legal father. Parents, as part of sex education with your kids, please teach them that you do not ignore a court order for a young man. If you get a notification to show up for court, for paternity court or any kind of court, show up. Explain to them the consequences. If you don't show up, you miss going to a traffic court or something, or you miss a court date for something else, now you got a bench warrant out for you. And you just living your life fat, dumb, and happy, and all of a sudden you get arrested, and you going, what I get arrested for? Because you didn't show up for court. You failed to uphold your adult responsibility. But in the case of paternity, fine. You chose, and I'm not talking about the people who didn't know. I'm talking about the people who just simply chose not to show up. You made a choice not to show up to court, and now you are named the legal father and potentially on the hook for child support for 18 years. Even if the child is not yours, take your ass to court. Oh, I didn't have a ride that day. You made a ride to get over there and get some pussy. So you better make just as much effort to get a ride to go down to court and be there for your court-ordered paternity test. We as parents have a obligation to teach the idea of showing up to court and respecting subpoenas when we get them, despite some folks in Congress who won't respect a subpoena. But we don't have the luxury that those folks have. There are real consequences for not being responsible and showing up for court, especially paternity court. Let's just say worst case scenario, you were supposed to show up for court for some other issue, some other legal infraction. Okay, fine. You didn't show up for court. Now you got a warrant. You get arrested. Okay, fine. And then you go to court and you solve the matter. That matter is now over with once you solved it. But if you choose not to go to paternity court, that is a 18-year guilty sentence, regardless if you are the father. If you're the father, you should have been there anyway, but if you're not the father, you are stuck for 18 years because just our court system has not kept up with medical science. We can prove today that a child is not ours, but the court systems don't care. They are not your friend, especially as a man trying to plead your case that, well, I didn't show up for court because I didn't have a ride or I just chose to ignore it. Bruh, parents, teach your kids about showing up for court when they are supposed to. Teach your kids about paying traffic tickets when they get tickets so they won't have a warrant out for their arrest. You know how many men get arrested for a traffic, or they get pulled over for a traffic violation and then find out they owe back child support and they are being arrested for back child support? I watched a paternity court episode the other day. A man spent 5 years. Now, I don't understand how you spend 5 years for back child support, but he claims, and the judge confirmed, or at least did not push back on him spending 5 years of his life in jail for this child's child support. Well, the child was now an adult, 18 years old. And so they finally went to court to get this matter solved. And he was not the father. He was named the father by default. This is happening way too many times. This is a legal issue that needs to have some type of update to it to keep pace with modern society. This, I think it's rather archaic and draconian if you miss one court appearance and by default get stuck with a 18-year sentence of paying child support. Should you have went to court? Absolutely. But do I think missing one court appearance could mean that you are now liable for child support? Do I think that's fair? Absolutely not. I think paternity tests should be done by default when every child is born before someone is allowed to sign a birth certificate. But please, let's stop letting this dumb stuff about not showing up to paternity court make you the father by default and responsible for child support for 18 years. Even if you can prove you are not the legal father or the biological father, you are still the legal father. Two different designations. And clearly some of these people in this courtroom did not understand that, and the judge is trying to explain. The results have shown you are not the biological father, but because you did not show up for court, you were named the default legal father by default, and you are hence responsible. And you have to petition your state with no guarantees that they will take your name off of the default file as the father. That is not guaranteed. I think that should be a legislative issue that we could get somebody to champion in Congress, but I'm sure no one will do it. They don't have the courage to do it. They don't want the political exposure from doing that, but it's past time that we get to this. So my short message for tonight is, please, Parents, teach your kids the importance of showing up for court for whatever legal matters they have to deal with. If it is a traffic ticket, if it's a parking ticket, pay your parking tickets. Teach them the legal responsibility and the legal consequences that go along with that, so at least they can't say, well, I didn't know. If they want to make that choice and go down that path, fine, but don't let it be because they did not know. That is my public service announcement for you. I told you I was going to keep tonight short. I'm going to go ahead and drop it right here. I will encourage each of you, please like the podcast, subscribe, Family Talk on all platforms. TikTok, it's Family Talk 05, I believe it is. My bad. I'm even slacking on that. I'm just getting back into it. I've missed y'all, and I'm going to keep coming back to y'all with topics that I hope you will find interesting. Also at a better time. I know it's 11:30 right now, so or close to 11:30, so I will be coming back at a better time. But this was just on my mind and on my heart, and I thought I would share it with you. So, family, do your thing. Stay out there. And for this moment, I'm just going to say I'm out. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks, don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks, don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out.